Hello and welcome to Archaeologists Anonymous, a safe space for you archaeology addicts out there. On this episode, we'll be tackling the big question: where did the first governments come from? Okay, so this is a pretty big issue. There are a number of different theories as to why governments started, and since it is so worldwide, some theories work better in some parts of the world, some better in others, and as with anything in history, there's typically more than one explanation for everything, so it could be a combination of several of these theories. So with that in mind, let's talk about the different theories people have come up with for why we started governments. How did this happen? First, let's go back to the 1950s and talk about the hydraulic hypothesis. This was by the historian Carl Wittfogel. This theory suggests that it was irrigation that led to the creation of the first governments. Irrigation was a technique where people dug water channels in order to better water crops. It really increased the agricultural yield. And when you increase the agricultural yield, you can lead to specialization and you can start building cities. But in order to organize irrigation, there needed to be some kind of system. There had to be some kind of management to create the, ambitious project that was irrigating crop fields.
I'd like to speak to the manager.
So out of this civic need to manage irrigation systems, we get an organization devoted to that, which turns into a government. So that's one theory. In the 1960s, Russian historian Igor Diakonov came up with a different theory. His theory was very influenced by a Marxist reading of history and focused on internal conflict.
I will saw the tables of tyranny in half!
Basically, the idea was, as technology improved, as agriculture improved, and wealth increased, it was focused on a certain class of people, and there was internal conflict between the haves and the have-nots. And his theory was that governments were created to impose order on class conflict, and to help manage internal differentiation and wealth distribution in a society.
Alexa, who is this?
The free working people united in servitude as a motherland.
Now, another theory proposed by Kent Flannery focuses on warfare as a prime motivating factor. When groups come into conflict in a war, it's typically useful to have someone put in charge of the operation to conduct the warfare. And as friction between different societies mandated this sort of warfare hierarchy, that hierarchy got codified permanently into a system of government. So what is war good for? Well, according to Kent Flannery, forming states. Yeah! A different explanation for this issue focuses on population growth as a different motivating factor. As population growth increases, the necessity to effectively manage resources increases in order to make sure that everyone is provided for. And this, in some ways, pairs with the hydraulic irrigation-focused hypothesis, and it's the idea that in order to make sure that everyone is provided for and to limit disorder in a society, you need to have a government that is laying out systems of resource management. The population hypothesis actually pairs well with a number of these explanations. Like I said, it's rarely just one explanation as to why anything happened in the past. Another theory that sort of modifies a number of these is the idea of environmental circumscription, and it seeks to emphasize the role of the environment in this discussion. The idea is that constraints imposed by the environment required human organization, and this is another example of a theory where organization to solve a particular problem, whether it be population, warfare, or the environment, creates a system of government.
The super strong waterproof tape!
Another theory along these lines was proposed by William Rathje, and it's about trade. The idea is that as different societies trade with each other, there is a pressure to create more specialized goods to help you when you're trading. You want to have cool stuff to trade, and in order to get specialized goods, you need more societal organization. So this is another example of how a need, in this case, the need to create goods for trading, creates organization that leads to government.
We're living in a society. We're supposed to act in a civilized way.
So those are some of the major theories as to why human society developed governments and states. I have been Silvia of Archaeologists Anonymous. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on another video.